you break into a sweat with even the thought of having company? I'm here to help. After trying just a few of my hosting tips, you'll be more than ready to say, come on over. Today we are talking about putting together winter and spring pots. Yes, together. One of the reasons we can do that here in the Mid-South is that we can underplant the bulbs for spring and top plant them with these beautiful pansies, which I think are misnamed because pansies are in no way pansy-ish. They are one of the toughest flowers you will ever plant.
They are just a bunch of pansies.
So to do that, I've collected pots that need to be repotted with something. I mean, look at this. It's done. So we need to let that be free and fill it with something that's going to look a lot better than that. And we're going to do that now. We're going to start with this big pot because this is really the best example of underplanting. So it's empty. And I have to put in here crocus bulbs, which are one of the first things to bloom in the spring. They pop up out of the soil and you get beautiful purple and white flowers. They feel so delicate, but they're very, very hardy. And then we have a combination of these. It's called Oxford Elite Tulip. I love this color combination. It's an orange, yellow, and pink. And to me, this just screams happiness. Well, tulips don't scream, but you know what I mean. It's like happiness in the spring. So they each come with a direction on the back telling you how deep you need to plant this bulb. So the tulip needs to be, this tulip needs to be 5 inches deep, and the crocus needs to be 3 inches deep. That's important. So the first thing we're going to do is plant the tulip 5 inches deep. Well, how do you know how deep it is? You take your ruler. We know that 5 inches is right here, and that's going to be 5 inches from the depth of your soil. And we never want the soil to come all the way to the top. It needs to be at least an inch below. So if we go 6 inches down here, that here is where we want to plant our first bulbs. So I'm going to show you how to do that to make sure they are ready to hibernate during the winter and then bloom in the spring. So first thing we're going to do is just add some good old potting soil. We've used this before in videos. It is a moisture control, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to be potting soil. You don't want to use garden soil. You don't want to use cactus soil. You want to use straight up potting soil. So I'm just going to keep dumping it in here until I feel like I've gotten to the point of 6 inches. And hey, red solo cup, appropriate use. You might be thinking, could I use this on my dining room table? The answer is no, never.
Never ever?
Never, ever, ever.
Never, never, ever, ever for never ever?
Never, ever, never, never, ever, ever, never.
Getting a lot of dirt in here, and I can get too much because then I can put it up on the side. All right, so I'm going to tamp this down and make sure it's really firm down in there, and let me get my ruler and see if I am 6 inches deep. Nope, I'm 7 inches. I need to go another inch of soil. A lot of people wonder, can you just use the soil that's in the pots and it's been in there all summer? Probably not. Here's why. Usually all the nutrients that came with that soil is used up by this point. I mean, we are in late fall, about to hit early winter, so you don't want used up soil, nutrient used up soil at this point. Let's check it again. 6.5. This pot is a good size, so we need to keep going.
Run, Forrest, run! Run, Forrest!
If you did change out your soil for your fall arrangements, you would not need to get new soil. You could still use that because it has barely used any soil. Okay, I bet we are at 6 inches now. We are. So here's what it looks like. It looks like it's about halfway full. So now what I will do is I will take my beautiful tulip bulbs. This package came with 6, and that's really a great amount for this pot. I'm actually going to group these bulbs in the middle because that's where they're going to want to come up and form. And if you can remember this, the tulip doesn't just come up straight up, just a stem. It has this foliage around it. So you want to have a little bit of room for that, but you do want it to, I like to crowd the pots because I think it looks richer and fuller. Now, for those of you who have never really studied the bulb before, each bulb comes with a root area down here and a pointy area. And you can see this is actually sort of forming, which is kind of cute. And it goes root area down. If you plant it on its side, it probably will still find its way up, but see, it would not be here. It would come out over here instead of where you want it to be. So I'm gonna place these in the pot and then I'll show you what they look like all grouped together as an airplane goes over and interrupts our shoot. You can leave this outer skin on there if you want to. Sometimes it falls off. Just go with it. If it falls off, it does. If it doesn't, that's fine too. So I am just setting them on top of the soil that I have tamped down, so I make sure that they're about 6 inches. All right. Apparently, we are a flyover region for every possible air vehicle you can get. All right, so the tulip bulbs are planted. 6 of them. Now, we need to cover that up because we want our next layer to be 3 inches. And then on top of that, we're going to put pansies. It's gonna be awesome. So what happens in the spring is the pansies will come back first thing. In fact, they don't really go away. They are just smaller, look a little sadder. And then the first tiny bit of hint that spring is on its way, which for us is February. Let the hating begin because it's true. Spring starts in February here. These will start coming back double and triple their size. And then as it warms up even more, the crocus will start to poke through. And then you can decide if you want to remove the pansies or leave them there. And then the tulips will start to come through. And that's when you want to get rid of your pansies, and they're probably done anyway. So I've planted the bulbs, and I like to add 2 things to the bulb layer. The first is some sort of fertilizer. There is a bulb tone, which I usually have, and I just happen to be out of today. So we're gonna use plant tone. It's similar. It has nutrients. We're just gonna use it. And I just sprinkle it around the bulbs to give it a little boost for spring. Then, because I live near the woods and we have a lot of woodland creatures, which I love, they can be naughty though and wanna dig up your bulbs and eat them. So I put a layer of this repels all around the bulbs, and I do it for each layer. This stuff is stinky, so not even I like it.
But it smells like throw up in here.
Crazy world, a lot of smells.
So what I do is I just give it a nice healthy layer right there. I'll turn this so you can see it. I'll tip it. It's got a nice layer of fertilizer, and I can smell that repels all from here. And then we're going up to the next layer. And we know from the label that it needs 3 inches. It needs to be down 3 inches from the lip. So what does that mean for those of you doing math and keeping up?
Math is math.
I need a 4-inch layer here. 1 inch below the lip of the pot. So I'm gonna press that down, make sure it's nice and packed. And take a look here. Little higher, but I'm not gonna go much higher because we still have to plant these pansies and I don't want them to be too close to the top. So here's our next layer. Now it looks like I have nothing but dirt in here, but we know there are tulip bulbs under there. So here are the crocus bulbs. They are little tiny things.
We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony.
Just little baby things because they are tiny flowers, but it has the same makeup. It has the base where the roots are, and it has, you can see the top of it right here. It looks like it wants to start blooming. It's not going to, and in fact, these may come up in the winter when you're not ready, but they know when it's proper to come up. So don't worry about it. Don't feel like you have to shove them down in there. The pansies will really help with that. So I have, how many do I have? Let's see. I have 12. By the way, these were only $4 a package at Lowe's. Very inexpensive, I think. So I'm just gonna dump these in here, and then I'm gonna place them around the lip. because that will be beautiful. Seeing them come up around the edge. Also, they will come up around the pansies that are above them. I will plant the pansies closer to the middle. So I'm just checking. Some of these are a little bit confusing. See, like, which one is it? Is that the base or is this the base? I'm going to give it a little bit of a look, because if I plant them upside down, it makes it much more difficult. All right, that's the base. So I'm going to put that base side down. And you know, if one or two of these don't come up, it's not going to matter. If they don't make it for some reason, it's okay. It will just look like a nice ring of crocus. Okay, I don't want to ruin this, but can you see this? I've made this like 12 o'clock. It looks like a clock down here. Every hour on the hour, I will add some plant tone to help it do some growing. Technically, I should have added the plant tone first, but I really don't think they're going to care. And then I'm going to add the stinky stuff, because that's really important. And I'm going to use it all the way around here again, and be generous, because I don't want those naughty chipmunks, squirrels digging them up.
I like a cookie.
Now we're ready to put the pansies in. So I'm going to go with white for this. So we got a pot of pansies. That is more expensive. This is a $15 pot, because you're paying for the pot. So you get the pansies, which are cheap, and the pot, which is a little more expensive, but we can use this pot in the spring, in the summer, so we're going to keep it and use it again. So we're going to get in here with the digging tool, which I love, and we're going to free these. Now, these are in something I've told you in another episode. They're in this kind of spongy, not really dirt soil, which I do not care for. And I'm just going to get rid of as much as I can of it, because I don't think it holds the moisture very well, and the dirt will. All right, here's my first one. See, it just came free. And as long as I'm digging through it anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out all this stuff I don't want, pieces, leaves that are dying. I can deadhead at this point also, and deadhead means that you go in here with a spent bloom and you just take it off. And that way it all looks fresh and lovely. Okay, so we want the pansy level to be right here. So I can see right away I need to add more soil. So I'm going to go ahead and add more soil. And you might be thinking, well, won't the root of the pansy disturb the crocus? No. You know what? They just work it all out, all on their own. That's the way they were designed. You don't have to worry about them, because let me tell you, they're not worrying about you. So we're going to add a little bit more soil there. This is going to be a nice heavy pot. It won't blow over in any winter wind. And I'm going to put, as I said, these pansies more towards the middle to give the bulbs a little more room to come up. There we go. That's the whole thing. You see this soil? This is not good soil. So, and it's a lot of wasted soil down here. So I'm just gonna get rid of it now. And look how rough I'm being with this pansy. I mean, it doesn't care. It is super strong, super durable. This one has far less stuff to pick off. And you can see I'm not particularly being clean here and being precise. You don't have to be. Winter pots are going to look bad always at some point, and then you just have to trust that they're going to look great when it's time for them to shine again. So another one over here. Pansies could be crowded. They are at their full height right now. They will die back and they'll start over in the late winter, early spring. In fact, these will all come up late winter. And you can see there are some buds here that still haven't opened, but they will, because we tend to stay warm here in the Mid-South pretty late. Okay, so now I'm just going to fill it in with soil, give it a drink, and then we're going to move on to the next pots. Now you might be thinking, how much do I need to water winter pots? Well, not much. I mean, what I would say is, if the soil is even mildly damp, you don't need to water it. You will get some rain, you might get some snow, that's all moisture. And you might be thinking, well, won't this freeze if it gets too cold, and won't the bulbs freeze? bulbs want to be cold. They have to go through a cold phase. In fact, I pulled these bulbs out of the refrigerator drawer in the garage because they need cold periods to do their thing. And you don't want them to bloom too early, so they need to be cold. The pansies, extremely tolerant of cold. They are a cold weather or cool weather plant. So as long as they're not dry, which is why I don't want to use that soil they came in. That soil dries out so fast. But this moisture control potting mix, it will help with the moisture in these pots. So just check them every now and then. If you're having particularly sunny days and you think that things are drying out, just come on over and literally I take my fingers, stick it down in there. Does it feel dry? Does it feel moist? Does it feel too wet? And then I deal with it however I need to do. So isn't this beautiful? And we're going to start with all these pansies, absolutely joyful, happy flowers. They will die back, or not really die, but they will greatly reduce and look horrible. And then in February, they will start up again, and then your crocus will come out on the outer edge and your tulips in the middle.
You had me worried, you silly filly.
Now I'm going to work on the other two plants. So here they are, all finished, and it didn't take but 20 minutes. So they're in their pots, they're ready to go to their homes. I would say for this kind of planting, you want to do some sun, not deep shade. They don't really care for deep shade, but it can be partial sun, and you can watch them continue to bloom until the deep freezes come or the super cold temperatures, and then you wait for them to come back in the spring, and you and they will be delighted. Folks, today our film crew thinks she's a cheerleader. Did you see that leg? That would be a cheering leg. It's cheering, you just can't hear it.
How far I can go. Well, Chris argues with this instructions.
Just doesn't
And
say.
platoon plays overhead.
Whoever you're looking for, they're not here.
The Third World War.
We are. I keep expecting the theme song, the theme music to MASH to play.
Happening?
And I will plant them, the pansies, and I will plant. I will plant the pansies is what I want to say, but that's not right.
Come on over. Now go make someone feel special today.